What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video, we are checking out the new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE. Now, this phone was announced rather quietly a couple of weeks ago, and while it is the continuation of the once popular Fan Edition version of Samsung's flagship phone, I feel like it has fallen out of favor in recent years. I'll talk a little bit about why I think that is, and I'll of course fill you in on everything else you need to know about this new FE. I actually think it's a pretty solid device with some useful upgrades over last year's version. But first things first, let's just quickly get it out of the box, and then I'll dive into all the details. Ripping everything open here and sliding off the lid, the first thing you'll see is the phone itself. Mine is in the navy color, which is certainly the best choice. As per usual, there's nothing else inside the bottom half of the box, but hiding inside the lid, you do still get a little Samsung stamped packet filled with a SIM ejector tool, a whole bunch of paperwork, and then a lonely little USB-C cable for charging. No surprises here. So with all that stuff out of the way, here is the new S25 FE once again. And let's talk pricing, availability, and where exactly this phone now fits within Samsung's fairly crowded lineup. The S25 FE once again comes in two storage options, 128GB for $649 or 256GB for $709. But at least for right now, Samsung is still offering a free storage upgrade. So the 256GB model is $649. And if you want an even better deal, Amazon will toss in a $100 gift card on top of that storage discount. I'm not sure how much longer either of these promotions will last, but I highly suggest taking advantage of them ASAP if you're at all considering this phone. And I'll leave links to these deals down below in the video description if you want to see if they're still available. Promotional pricing or not, the FE is obviously the cheapest S-series phone in the lineup, and when you toss in the current A-series phones, Samsung basically has something available every $100 to $200. There's at least 9 current Samsung smartphones to choose from now, but the big caveat here is just the fact that the regular S-series flagship phones have been out for 9 months now. So between different carrier deals, Amazon discounts, both new and renewed, or just browsing Swappa or eBay, you'll find any one of the higher tier S-series devices at a cheaper price than this new S25 FE. Obviously, as time goes on, the FE will gradually go down in price too, but it's still something to consider if you're thinking about really any of Samsung's 2025 smartphones this late into the year. If you do end up deciding on this new FE, you'll wind up getting a very familiar 6.7-inch smartphone. That is obviously much bigger than the regular flagship S25, which, to be honest, is sort of an unusually small smartphone by today's standards. It's actually still the same screen size as the S25 Plus, so you're getting a big screen without that higher price tag, and it's the same size as last year's S24 FE. The black bezels have shrunk just a tiny bit compared to last year, so the screen-to-body ratio is technically a percentage or two better, but it's not that noticeable. Overall, I do still think that one of the value propositions of this FE in particular is its big screen size, though the argument could be made that all of Samsung's much cheaper A-series phones are also this size now too. Around back, Samsung swapped the fit and finish yet again on this new FE. We're back to a no-gloss matte finish on the Gorilla Glass Victus Plus back panel, so it essentially matches this year's flagship phones, which is nice, and in my opinion does look a bit more premium compared to last year. The frame of the phone also changed a little bit too. It's still aluminum, but the enhanced armor aluminum variety. It's a little darker in color, a bit sparklier in the light, less rounded, more sharp, and again pretty much aligns with the design on the rest of this year's S25s. I'll also just say that the 4 color options for this phone are quite boring. You get white, jet black, icy blue, and then this navy, which arguably is the only actual color, and a pretty far cry from the vibrant FEs of yesteryear, which I feel like was a pretty appealing thing to offer. Also, interestingly enough, It's not the same shade of navy blue that Samsung offers on the other S series phones, and they're foldables. It's a slightly darker, slightly duller hue, which is pretty bizarre if you ask me. Taking a peek at everything else here, there's nothing on the left side. On the right, familiar power and volume buttons in their usual placement. Up top, a couple mic holes, and at the bottom, the USB-C charge port flanked by the main loudspeaker and the physical SIM card tray. There's no micro SD card support on this phone. We lost that a few years back. And like I talked about at the start, 128 gigs or 256 gigs are your storage options, which nowadays is probably not enough, and I think at a bare minimum, you should just opt for the higher storage option. Around back, this new FE gets the same camera design as the rest of the S25s, that odd sort of raised camera lens deal with a gap around the edges, but the camera ring is once again a silvery finish, which doesn't match the flagship S25s, and instead mimics what a lot of people didn't like on last year's S24 FE. It's just a little less prominent, and it's the only surefire way to physically tell this phone apart from an S25 Plus. The in-display fingerprint sensor on this FE is still the optical variety, not the faster flagship ultrasonic sensor, so it still is a little less accurate and not quite as quick, but it's not something I personally notice all that much. Speaking of the screen, Samsung didn't really change anything here. You still get a 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X panel with a 2340 by 1080 resolution, 120Hz refresh rate, and 1900 nits of peak brightness. Some sources have said this is now an LTPO panel, but that seems to be a mistake, and otherwise this looks to be exactly the same screen as last year. It's not a bad display by any means, and in fact I think this is still a perk for this phone. Samsung didn't cut any corners, and while you don't get the Quad HD resolution you'd find on the similarly sized but much more expensive S25 Plus, I can't imagine most people would miss that feature or even notice. This phone offers just a solid viewing experience that's sharp, smooth, and bright enough, and you could certainly ask the question of what Samsung could have added this year. Perhaps a bump in brightness, maybe Gorilla Glass Victus 2 instead of Victus Plus, but anything more than that would probably overlap with their actual S-series phones, which I don't think Samsung wants to do. Also, I won't irritate you with a speaker test, since people often complain when I include those, but just know that the sound coming out of this phone is exactly the same as last year, and the same as all the other S-series phones too. There hasn't been a noticeable change or upgrade in the dual speaker setup on these phones in quite some time now. Inside, this new S25 FE is actually not using the current flagship processor found in the rest of the S25 lineup. That used to be one of the biggest perks of this phone, but not so much anymore. Instead, this FE is powered by the Exynos 2400 chip, and it doesn't matter where in the world you live, it's a one-chip choice for this phone. Take it or leave it. Compared to the similar in name Exynos 2400E in last year's S24 FE, this non-E or regular Exynos 2400 is newer and slightly more capable and more powerful, but both the numbers and the real-world difference is pretty negligible. And in fact, some might argue that this processor is a ways behind what you'd get on the flagship phones. Like I mentioned, it used to be a one-to-one benefit. The FE packed the same new flagship Snapdragon chip that the flagship phones got just a few months prior. But for whatever reason, be it cost, or Samsung's commitment to the Exynos brand, or their long-term product pipeline that found them committed to this situation years ago with no way to change it now, the same processor deal and performance perk is no longer present here. This phone unfortunately just doesn't offer the same bang for your buck on specs, which I think is one of the reasons it's fallen off the last 2 or 3 years. You also get 8 GB of RAM still, while the flagships have been bumped up to 12 gigs, so as a whole, while this phone is $100 cheaper than a full-on S series, it's also no longer the same phone inside. Now, I obviously just got this phone, and I'll do plenty of testing in the coming weeks to see how it performs on its own and how it compares to the S series and A series, but my knee-jerk reaction here is that anyone who cares a little bit about specs or the dollar to performance ratio, or who does even a little bit of research, is going to quickly realize that this year's FE falls a bit short in the performance department, and it's just no longer an obvious benefit in getting an FE like it used to be a few years ago. On the plus side, you do get a full 7 years of Android and Samsung OS updates and the full suite of Galaxy AI goodies, with no software limitations or features that are withheld, at least for now. So on the software side, this is still a full-fledged S-series phone. When it comes to battery and charging, Samsung did improve a couple of things here. The battery itself is larger, now 4,900 mAh compared to the 4,700 in last year's phone. And when it's time to juice up, you can do so a lot faster. You now get 45-watt wired fast charging versus the 25-watt speeds from last year's phone. And oddly enough, this is a faster standard than the regular flagship S25, which got stuck with 25 watts as well. Wireless charging is still 15 watts. This phone also has reverse wireless charging, it's G2 compatible, and it's just nice to see Samsung giving this phone a little more in the battery and charging department, since that's a pretty useful thing for the average person day in and day out. As far as the cameras, while Samsung is heavily promoting some major improvements on this new FE, the hardware hasn't changed much. The main 50 megapixel lens seems to be the same. The 8 megapixel telephoto lens is also identical, and the 12 megapixel ultra wide is, you guessed it, seemingly the same as last year. What Samsung is mainly highlighting is the selfie camera, which goes from 10 megapixels to 12 megapixels and offers a new sensor, so your smiling face or your group pictures should look a little better. But besides that, there's nothing else that's been substantially or noticeably improved. I will say that the camera setup as a whole and the myriad of capabilities and shooting modes remain flagship caliber, and it's certainly what sets this phone apart from the A series, for example, pretty decisively. But I'm not sure the cameras are reason enough to specifically get this FE over last year's phone, for example. In fact, most of the improvements seem to be on the software side with Galaxy AI and Samsung's Pro Visual Engine support. Photos and videos might look different, sharper, more colorful, but you're not really paying for any big, huge upgrades here. Now, there's one more thing I want to just quickly talk about. All alone, if this were the only Samsung smartphone offered, it would be a pretty good device. Plenty of great specs and features at a fairly acceptable price point. But it's not the only Samsung smartphone. And with actually so many options out there, I don't think this FE has much of a place anymore. In fact, if you browse the FE page on Samsung's website, they compare this phone with last year's FE and the current A56. And there's truly nothing that this phone has that those phones don't offer, even though Samsung highlights this phone in their various comparison columns. I would even go as far as to say that the average consumer might be confused by the comparisons. Certainly not swayed to choose this S25 FE. The A56 looks like a much better buy, especially if you make it to the product page where you see the price. I am, unfortunately, having a hard time justifying this phone's existence at this point, which is sad because the original S20 FE was truly the greatest smartphone Samsung ever launched. Since then, Samsung has offered a wide lineup of devices, which is great. You have plenty of choices at every price point, and every phone is better and better. But that has certainly squeezed this FE out. And I'm just not seeing how this phone has anything to offer that some other device in the lineup doesn't already offer at either a better spec or a friendlier price. But what do you guys think? Is there any reason whatsoever to buy this new S25 FE? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.